Oh my gosh. I actually enjoy the giant battles from Bowser's Inside Story. And that's such a change because the giant battles from Dream Team and the Papercraft battles from Paper Jam, I just think are terrible. They're not fun to fight at all and they control horribly. But here, I think the controls work and they're pretty fun to fight. So I gotta say, this was definitely a breath of fresh air ranking these things. Because most of the time when I talk about these types of battles, I just get drained because I hate all of them. But here, I gotta say, this was definitely more fun to rank. And let's rank all 4 giant battles from Bowser's Inside Story. But before we start, I am still trying to hit 1,000 subscribers before summer break hits. So I'd really appreciate if you'd subscribe or tell a Mario RPG fan to subscribe. But let's actually get started with the video now. Even though the Tower of Yik fight is straight up in last place, like it's dead last, it's at number 4, I still enjoy this fight. It has great attacks and the concept works. Well, the concept kinda works. The main reason it is at number 4 is because the concept feels too similar to Super Peach's Castle of Fury. And I could definitely see people flipping it to say Super Peach's Castle of Fury copied the Tower of Yik, so that means that the Super Peach's Castle of Fury fight is the worst one in the game. But for me personally, that fight is more enjoyable than the Tower of Yik because it just has more interesting attacks. So here, this fight just kind of just gets translated in my head to the bare bones version of the last giant battle in the game. So because of that, it's not as interesting to think about compared to the other giant battles in this game. And the other reason is that I just don't like the stylus mashing that you have to do with this fight. The Tower of Yik tries to escape the water because that's what you have to do to damage him. But to make sure that he doesn't actually escape, you have to spam either your finger or the stylus on the DS screen. It hurts and it's very annoying to control. I don't like these types of controls in giant battles at all. I didn't like it in Giant Bowser, I'm not gonna like it here. So because of this, I don't like this fight a ton, even though again it has great attacks and the concept kinda works, which is really all you need for a giant battle. It's gonna land at number 4. Now, a very surprising fact for you viewers. Apparently, the first ever giant battle in the game, Bowser's Castle, is a very easy fight. Now, I actually didn't know this coming into the game. I thought that it would be extremely difficult and almost impossible to just get past. Okay, I can't keep this charade up. Obviously, this is probably the easiest giant battle in any Mario and Luigi game. But it has to be this way. It has to teach you how the controls work. It has to have easy attacks. It has to teach you how to hold the DS sideways and actually normalize it. So because of this, it has to be this easy. It has to be this pathetic. But at the very least in that regard, that's the only problem I really have with this fight. I mean, the attacks work, and there's no concept, so that doesn't make it really any more difficult. And to be honest, I'm really tired of really difficult giant battles. So a really easy one, I don't really mind it too much. And where the Tower of Yik actually has a problem with the concept, I don't really have a problem with the Bowser's Castle fight. Now, obviously, it's not very interesting, which is why it's still at number 3. But since I don't really have any problems with it, I think it at least doesn't deserve to be at last place. Every single time I try to think of a good giant battle, I always come up with Super Peach's Castle of Fury. It just works. Everything in the battle works, but there's nothing really there that is stellar. I mean, obviously the black hole concept works pretty well. I think it's just a better version of the water mechanics with the Tower of Yik and with Earthquake, now that I really think about it. And Earthquake was my favorite giant battle from Dream Team. And I also like the attacks here. I like that he gets a barrier on himself. I like that he has spikes as arms, so you can attack him for a decent amount. But I also really enjoy when he just sometimes goes invisible. Kind of reminds me of the Dark Star attack. But my other problems that I really have with this fight, probably my main problem, is that this fight is sandwiched in between the 5 boss gauntlet in Peach's Castle, and it's easily the worst one out of the 5, mainly because it's a giant battle compared to the boss battles in this game. I'd rather just fight a normal boss battle compared to a giant battle, because they're just better. You have bros attacks, and I just like the attacks for normal bosses better. I mean, it's not like that this boss is bad. Obviously, it's still pretty good. It's not forgettable either, unlike Dark Fawful, but here's the thing about it. I just want to fight a normal boss. I don't want to be fighting a giant battle compared to the normal bosses in this game, so it's definitely more disappointing than normal. Again, it's good, but it also doesn't do anything to innovate either, unlike the number 1, where it's very stellar in innovation. So because of this, I'd rather fight the number 1 compared to the number 2. But I still do like the Super Peach's Castle of Fury, of course. The Fawful Express is my favorite giant battle in any Mario and Luigi game. I mean, it's not really close at all. I mean, the giant battles from Dream Team suck, and the Papercraft battles from Paper Jam can just go die in a hole. Here, the Fawful Express is so fun because it's difficult. Like, it's pretty difficult, but it's fair. It feels fair. The reason why it's difficult is because the attacks are hard to dodge, and you have to get as much damage as possible on the Fawful Express. And if we compare that to bosses like the Giant Bowser fight and the Z-Keeper fight from Dream Team, yeah, those fights are difficult but very unfair. The controls just suck there because they're using gyro controls for a decent amount of it. But here, the controls work really well, so that means that I can actually enjoy the difficulty. I also really enjoy the concept here. The Fawful Express is trying to get away from you, and it actually can be successful at that. There's a really tiny railroad that if Bowser crosses, he'll fall down and die, where the Fawful Express can just go across it and leave Bowser in the dust. So you're basically on a time limit trying to do as much damage as possible to the Fawful Express. And you can't use punches, you can only use your flame. And I can definitely see that people would have a problem with that if they have trouble with mic stuff, with the DS or the 3DS, which, yeah, that's fair. That's definitely applied with the controls, so if you dislike the fight because of it, I can definitely see that. But for me, it works really well. I also really enjoy the attacks. Most of them are not counter-attackable. So because of this, you have to really rely on the fire attacks. And when the Fawful Express goes into the hill monster thing and takes control of it, it's just so creative, because the attacks are really fun to dodge, and you have two options to try to defeat it. Either you can use punches to really defeat the hill monster fast, or you can use flames to burn the Fawful Express as well, to also damage the main train, instead of just the hill monster, which is just a really creative concept. I also like the really spiky rocks where you're trying to hit it as fast as possible to avoid a missile. And yes, it is kind of the same problem with the Tower of Yik where you're using stylus spamming, but here it's not as bad because it's not the end of the world if you just get hit by one missile. Where with the Tower of Yik, if you miss that, then you just can't damage him anymore, which is just the most annoying thing there. But here, it's not as bad. I like the concept, I like the attacks, and it's difficult, but it feels fair. I love the Fawful Express fight. Thank you guys for watching this video. My next video will be on Bowser's Inside Story again, and we are about to hit 500 subscribers. We're like 3 away. I'm pretty sure we're at 497 as I record this video. So if you're not subscribed yet, we're so close. And if we're past 500 subscribers, still subscribe anyway if you haven't. And tell a Mario RPG fan that has played the Mario RPGs, of course, to subscribe to the channel as well. I really appreciate that as well. But other than that, I'll see you guys in the next video.